to follow up the fight and to expose acts that undermine the fight. Because you see, illegal mining is destroying our water bodies, our forests, our lands. We all know that. The devastation we are seeing currently is unprecedented. It is said that when the last tree dies, the last man dies. That should tell you of the interdependence of human beings and our flora, species. Water also, they say, is life. And so if you have a menace which is leading to an alarming, degradation of your water bodies, your forest reserve and all that, what that menace is doing in actual fact is that it is threatening the very lives of the people in this country. That is why the Ghana Water Company Limited, for example, has told us that if this trend continues, we may have to import water as a country because they cannot cope with the high cost of treatment of this cyanide, mercury polluted water bodies, that they have to serve us in our homes. So this is a seriousness. This is why this matter is very serious, and this is why I am happy that you have taken this fight up, and that is why we in the opposition have also taken this matter up, and we are saying that no acts of cover-up should be countenanced in this matter. Unfortunately, the Office of the Attorney General is engaged in a cover-up relative to the damning revelations contained in the 36-page Professor Frimpong Boateng Galamsey report. And we say so for three reasons. Number one, the so-called investigation that the AG claims has been conducted into this matter is a sham. And it is a sham because even before this report was investigated allegedly by the police,
you don't believe the police investigated?
They've not done any investigation. In fact, it is very clear from the so-called advice from the AG that they've not done any investigation. And I will explain that to you. You see, the presidency had this report more than 2 years before it was leaked into the media space. And for 2 years, they took no action. For 2 years, they took no action. Now, when the report was leaked into the media, they issued a statement and said the report was the damning findings to the effect that presidential staffers, higher ups in government, ministers of state, members of parliament, MPP apparatchiks, and so on, were engaged in illegal mining, were only a catalogue of personal grievances of Professor Frimpong Boateng, and that they were hearsay at best. That was the official position of the presidency. So they dismissed the report right from the outset, even before any investigations would be launched into the matter. Then the AG also granted an interview with you, with this very station, and said that, the report is just the personal opinion of Professor Frimpong Boateng, and that it should be given little attention. Major Online reported this, Graphic Online reported this, little attention. Now, why will a Minister of State, who doubled as the chairman of the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, write an official report to the cabinet of this country, a cabinet that the AG is a member of, and the AG would describe such a report as the personal views of the minister, and that report should be given little attention? So straight away, you realize that these guys set out to cover up this matter. They never intended to publish the report or act on same. When it was leaked, they sought to downplay it and whitewash the indicted officers. The reason why I say to you that no credible investigation has been conducted is that in the AG so-called advice, he says that when the president allegedly referred this matter to the police for investigations, the police only did two things. They visited Professor Frimpong Boateng in his house and asked him to assist them with further information on the allegations he had made in the report. And they claimed Professor Frimpong Boateng gave them some publications, a bank statement, some documentation. So Prof gave them that. Then they said, beyond this, all they did was that they invited the persons who had been named in the report for questioning. The people appeared and said, we are not guilty. We have not engaged in Galamsey. And that was it. So the entire docket they presented to the Attorney General, this is it. They never spoke to the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining. They
spoke to the chairman.
No, that was Frimpong Boateng, the one who had authored. And at the time, he was no longer the chairman.
Yes.
Because he was no longer minister.
The committee's been dissolved now.
I'm saying that there was a task force which in 2018 raided the site of a mining company, Heritage Imperial, which was operating in the Paprama Forest Reserve, specifically the Kpebu section of that forest reserve. That task force was led by a gentleman called Chum Ampofo Ajikum. There were soldiers who were members of this task force. In fact, the task force were deployed to that site by the then Secretary of the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu. And your own brother, Erastus Asaridonko, was part of that team. When they visited the said site, they saw evidence of the company engaging in illegal mining. In fact, if you watch your own documentary, the report that Erastus did, the soldier who spoke was so alarmed that he said that this was the biggest site they have ever seen since they started clamping down on illegal mining. It was the biggest they had ever seen. According to Erastus Asaridonko, I've listened to many reports he has done. They saw an alluvial washing bay. You don't use alluvial washing bay for prospecting. They saw gold, which were seized by the leader of the task force and handed over to the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining. They saw what is called black, in other words, concentrated gold. And in fact, they left the site with a pickup full of black.
Okay.
So clearly, this company was engaged in illegal mining. We've all seen the videos.
Let me bring the others in.
We've all seen the videos. So, if you don't speak to the members of this task force, Erastus is still alive. All the members of the task force are alive. You don't speak to them.
They spoke to the chairman.
I'm saying the chairman didn't visit the site. He was not an eyewitness. The eyewitnesses are those who visited the site and who have the footage of what was happening there. You've not even visited the site. You've not spoken to the chief of the area. You've not spoken to the youth and people of the area who on a daily basis witness the illegal mining activities of this company. And I'm even here to tell you that in subsequent meetings with the company, between the Environmental Protection Agency and officers of the company, do you know that the company actually admitted that they were operating illegally there? Save that they said they were not mining illegally, but they were engaged in land reclamation illegally without the requisite licenses. And this was a meeting held on the 9th of January 2019. And I have the official correspondence.
So you're saying the police that did the investigation did a poor job, and the Attorney General should have advised the police to do a better job.
If he was interested in unearthing the truth, he had no basis to issue a legal opinion because no proper investigation had been done in the first place. Because you cannot say that you are investigating a company for engaging in illegal mining when you have not written to the Minerals Commission for a response on information, written to the Minerals Commission for information on the said company. You did not write to the Forestry Commission. You did not write to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. You did not write to the Environmental Protection Agency. You did not visit the site. You did not talk to eyewitnesses. You did not talk to the task force who actually, arrested this company, seized mining equipment, over 30 mining equipment.
Let me bring
and evidence that clearly shows that they were engaged in illegal mining. This is a charade. It's nothing but a cover-up.
Let me bring Alfred Tuah Yeboah, who's Deputy Attorney General. Thank you very much, Alfred, for joining us. So, yesterday on Top Story, you were talking about evidence. You had indicated that if this is not concluded, and if there was the need to go into it again, you'll be prepared to open it up. After 15 hours, I want to find out from you, is it the view of you and the department that further investigations be conducted into the other names that have been mentioned and not only the 3 that you say the police should conclude their investigations?
Thank you very much, my brother. Let me extend my greetings to Sammy. Now, I've listened to him carefully. I don't know whether Sammy now is an investigator or he wants to be a witness in the case. If you want to be a witness, then we welcome it because he may have a lot of information that we may need in bringing some culprits to book. We have no problem with it. Now, in terms of opening further investigations or not opening further investigations, now, when the AG renders an opinion that opinion is not cast in stone. It's not closed. Because at best, the persons named in that report will only be discharged. It doesn't amount to an acquittal. And for that matter, if there is any information, whether now that I'm speaking to you, whether from since yesterday, since I had an interview with you, or from this time on, and that information has legal basis that will warrant the opening up of such a matter, why not? Because the matter, they were not acquitted and discharged. In terms of the claim that someone is being pled, there is a cover-up. Let me give a proper case of a cover-up or an attempt.
I'll get to the proper case of a cover-up, but let me just get something clear. So, based on the information from yesterday and today, do you agree there is new information?
There is information, but we need to verify them. Because Sammy mentioned letters, names, an admission before someone, all those things. Yesterday I told him that if he has all these things, as a good citizen that I know he is, why can't he put it together? But if we keep on doing everything...
So my question is, based on what he said from yesterday to today, and you saying if there is new evidence, why not? Do you agree that there is new evidence worth pursuing?
I have heard him speak on radio that there's a letter. There are some piece of information, admission before some people and all those things. If those things come before us, we'll definitely open it up and see. But I was making this point. When it comes to the claim that someone is being covered or being cleared, when the Attorney General renders advice, the only person, the person is only discharged. If you want to cover up someone, then as an Attorney General or as a prosecutor, what you do is that when you get any docket, if there is no evidence against that person and you want to cover up, you place the person before a court of law. The matter is heard. Then because you don't have evidence, the person will be acquitted and discharged. And that will seal it. So that tells you, we are not out to cover up anyone. We just want justice to be done. And we will not rush to any court of law with any watery or shaky evidence. We need to at least be sure on the face of it that we can get proper results in court. When it comes to the fight against illegal mining, I challenge anyone that in our history, this government has prosecuted illegal miners more than any other government. This government, from 2018 to date, as I speak to you now, there are over 130 criminal cases on illegal mining involving over 800 people. People have been convicted and sentenced into prison. Some of them in custody now. Others are also having their day in court. So, if there's any theory that no one is ready to fight Galamsey, I'll engage that person in whatever debate that he wanted to have.
Okay.
But the officers in the Attorney General or the Office of Attorney General are not, with all respect, polymaths. You may know certain things. We are fallible. We can make mistakes. If we make mistakes, we admit.
Are you admitting you've made a mistake in this case?
We have never made any mistake in this particular matter. I'm just making a point.
But you say you're fallible. It could be that you've made a mistake. If you're fallible, it could be that you've made a mistake.
An opinion has been rendered based on the docket that we received. That opinion, as I said, does not close the matter entirely. If anything comes up, it will be revisited. In terms of the police, what they did this particular matter, I cannot give you everything that they did. But the police gave us pieces of information on docket that we relied on to give this opinion.
Okay.
If people may want to know, for example, you want to know how they did it. I think the police did the investigation. You may fall on them because Sammy has given so many things, and those assumptions have no basis. Because we assume that they never visited.
Let me just find out from you.
We assume that they never went to that. What is the basis of that assumption?
Okay.
In terms of advice, my God, let me land on this. We do not give advice and assume the advice will be a thesis. It's a summary. So if we were to write advice on all the things on the docket, then it means that we are doing another docket. So when you see an opinion, don't think that advice contains opinions. It's all what you have. So if something is for some mentioned, don't assume that one ought to be mentioned. In any event, an opinion can even be a darker version of what we have in the case. We could have simply received the police. Based on our observations, we think go this way, leave this one, or do the other. But it is in accord with other practice to give a summary of why you think that this one should be prosecuted, this one, but that should not give us the understanding that the opinion should cover everything to make it as if you are doing another docket. So this is what I just want to say.
Okay, please hold on. Let me bring in Martin Kpebu. I'll get to you, Sammy Gyamfi. Martin, so, I mean, you've listened to Sammy Gyamfi, you've listened to Alfred Tuah Yeboah. When you read the AG's advice on this particular case, the NDC's response and the AG's counter response, what's your view on all of this?
Listen, unequivocally, I'm going with Sammy Gyamfi. Look, this case, in terms of, I'm talking about Imperial Heritage Mining, okay? And Alaska, what they've done. The evidence against them makes the case an open and shut one. It's the easiest. You know, Mr. Tuah Yeboah is a very nice man. But today, I'm struggling to deal with him. Instead of saying that the opinion is not final, why doesn't he just go straight away and review it? You see, he has a reputation for taking on other opinions, right? And so I'm begging Mr. Tuah Yeboah that, look, they should just accept that. Let's come back in a month's time. They will go and take that evidence into consideration. And we say, you know what? That evidence is the Attorney General. When did he get it? He got it when he asked for evidence from Charles Bisu to go and fight this same Heritage Imperial. You know, Heritage Imperial, and it's mentioned in the AG's own press statement, took a judgment debt of 15.3 million against the government for the burning and what done to their equipment. And Charles Bisu supplied the AG with this evidence. The documentary done by Rastos and all the other evidence, right? The letters, Forestry Commission, and everything, the Minerals Commission, showing that Heritage Imperial were given a permit to do only prospecting. All this evidence was given to the Attorney General for him to go and overturn that judgment. So today, if the same Attorney General comes and says, I don't see any evidence, hey, then the beggars believe, beggars believe. I tell you, Winston, and I'm not kidding. This morning, look, I called that Erastus again because somehow I just felt like, did we get anything wrong? Then I went through Erastus again, and it's still the same discussion we've been holding. Look, the video is there this morning, so I watched the video Erastus did again. He says there's the distraction, and you see it in the video. The size of 10 football fields. The size of 10 football fields. Then you add that to the fact that Gabi Ochredako granted an interview, at least to TV3, that one I watched it, where he confirmed that yes, he spoke to Frimpong Boateng, but he only spoke to tell him that Heritage Imperial had all the licenses. But so far the evidence is showing that they didn't have a mining lease. Erastus was standing there when the boat was packed. Now Chum Ampofo, whom Sammy Gyamfi mentioned, thankfully is still alive. Look, when Chum Ampofo brought the gold to Accra, they gave him a receipt. They gave him a receipt for the gold he brought. Oh, please. And that, when I say the gold that was seized in the 2018 raid. So there was mining. Look, this is an open and shut case. Please, the AG should stop gaslighting us. We are not kids. Chum Ampofo is alive.
Okay.
He brought the gold they got from that list, and that's what Sammy Gyamfi referred to. And that is confirmed that his client, this is Heritage Imperial, formerly known as C&J Alaska, were in the forest. What are we waiting for? Again, this AG opinion must be thrown out. They should go and do the right thing. Why? Look, we are human beings. If you forgot, you just say, look, I'm sorry, I'll go and do a new one. But to continue attempting, Tuah Yeboah is saying, oh, do you know it can be redacted? Redacted for what? Why is it that, why is it stated in the opinion that there is any redaction? And why would you redact? Okay. When you have to put in the public all the information so that we see that you did a faithful and impartial review. Please, it's too late. Listen, they should just throw out this whitewash and go and start afresh.
Hold on, Martin. I'll get back to you. Yes, Sammy Gyamfi, you want to make a point?
I want lawyer Tuah Yeboah, my good brother, to understand that I am not an investigator. I have never been. And I don't intend to be one. I am only a responsible citizen doing what is expected of me in line with my civic duties. And if he did his work as a responsible Deputy Attorney General, the same applying to his boss, he would have come to the knowledge of the pieces of information I'm sharing here, because this information is available to him and it is also available even in the public space. Lawyer Tuah Yeboah, if you're holding a pen, you can write. On the 6th of May 2019, the office you represent, the office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, wrote a letter to the chairman of the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, Professor Frimpong Boateng, referring suit number CM/RPC/0385/2019. The purpose of this letter was for the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining to furnish the AG with all the necessary documentation pertaining to Heritage Imperial Limited, so that the AG could fight a suit of unlawful seizure of the equipment of the company that had been brought against the state. Professor Frimpong Boateng replied this letter and provided the AG with all they needed and attached a detailed report which contains satellite images of the destruction that this company had done to the Pamprama Forest Reserve. And they supplied them with all the documents. And so he should just, when he gets to the office, he should go and look for that letter. He will realize that this whole story of Heritage Imperial Limited started on the 4th of December 2017. That is when the company wrote to the Forestry Commission for an entry permit into the Pamprama Forest Reserve. Mark the date 4th December 2017. On 17 January 2018, barely a month after that, the Forestry Commission gave them an entry permit. And on the 12th of February, that same year, 2018, the Forestry Commission wrote to its districts and regional offices, the Bekwai district to be specific, informing them that this company was coming to the Upper Pamprama Forest Reserve to do prospecting, not mining, not reclamation, but prospecting. It is a fact that on the 25th of October 2019, the company was eventually issued with a prospecting license signed by Honorable Asoma Cheme, then Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. On the 6th of December, the Anti-Galamsey Task Force raided that site, 6th of December 2018, and saw them engaging in the most obscene form of illegal mining. Consequently, the minister himself visited the site on the 11th of January and granted an interview, 2019, to the media there, in which he indicated that he had confirmed that the company was engaged in illegal mining and as a result was going to suspend their prospecting licenses. He indeed suspended their prospecting licenses. And that is why the EPA, the Forestry Commission, met the company in a bid to further investigate the matter. And in that meeting, the company admitted that they were operating illegally. That letter the company wrote, right, is contained. I'll give you the date of that letter. And the date of that letter is 22nd February 2019. This is a letter which was signed by the Chief Program Officer / Head of Mining, for and on behalf of the Acting Executive Director of EPA. Okay. And it was addressed to the MD of Heritage Imperial Company. And they pointed out clearly to the company that they were engaged in illegal mining. This is why the prospecting license of the company was seized. It is only an irresponsible Attorney General who, in the face of all these official documentations, which I just came by in the last 48 hours when I started investigating this matter, who will come on air and say and feign ignorance of these notorious facts and say, I'm not aware, I'm waiting for Sammy Gyamfi to bring me fresh evidence. What fresh evidence? You've been in custody of these documents since 2019.
Hold on 1 minute.
And lastly, just 5 seconds, I want to reiterate an advice which has been given to my good brother, lawyer Tuah Yeboah, by Senior Martin Kpebu. We all know him. Perfect gentleman. I don't know why he's allowing himself to be used for this cover-up. His boss issued that statement. Why is his boss not on air defending this?
Hold on.
Such a gentleman is being used to defend this.
Hold on 1 minute.
He's not doing any good to himself.
Stay with us.
Your morning radio.
This conversation touches on the soul of this country. It's about the protection of our water bodies, our vegetation, and our lives. Of course, you've heard the very devastation that Galamsey is doing in this country. So it's not just a political contest of who's done what and where. It's also about how we move this country forward in dealing with what appears to be an intransigent canker that we are unable to wrap our hands around. Now, in this conversation in studio is the National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sammy Gyamfi. He had a press conference a couple of days ago on this matter, and there was a response to that from the Attorney General. And so we have the Deputy Attorney General, one of them, Alfred Tuah Yeboah, who is on the line now, and one man who has been part of this conversation. We do recall in 2022, Martin Kpebu and the others within the media coalition against Galamsey even petitioned the CID and the police about an investigation around, I think this was a Akonta mining. So he's also joined this conversation. We need to, before we took the break, you had listed a chronology of engagements, including one you say was a request from the Attorney General to the Interministerial Committee, specifically to Professor Frimpong Boateng, for data on this particular one. Now, let me go to the phone lines and speak to the Deputy Attorney General. Can you confirm this sequence of events did happen? And indeed, your office wrote to the Interministerial Committee and to Professor Frimpong Boateng for evidence in connection with heritage mining.
Thank you very much. Now, I cannot confirm it, but I can also not deny it, because the fact remains that there was a suit in the High Court in Kumasi, and every attorney who be handling such a matter will need information. So if such piece of information was requested from the minister and he submitted it, I don't think it is surprising to me, because that suit needed to be defended in the law court. At the end of the day, the state lost that suit. Subsequently, the state went back to file an application to set aside the judgment. But I don't want to go into details, but I would rather encourage maybe the listeners, as well as my brother Winston, Martin Kpebu, and my brother Sammy, to get the judgment or the ruling that set aside the judgment, and then we can make something out of it.
I think the crux of this conversation, forgive me, the crux of this conversation, the question is that you had the information about the activities of Heritage Imperial Mining, and that you cannot now pretend that you do not know what they've been doing, and so do not have information or evidence to prosecute them. That is why, whether or not you did invite that information from the Professor Frimpong Boateng's office is important. And one would have presumed that, mindful of the fact that from yesterday to today, be speaking on this clarity would have been brought to bear on it. Is it a fact?
That's what I said, yes. That is definitely, because the suit was filed in the High Court. If a state is sued and that entity that's supposed to come to court needs to give information to the state, we write to them. That was in 2019. But as I said, I cannot confirm, but I'll not be surprised that such a request was made to the minister. That one, I'm clear in my mind. I just wanted to make it clear. So I'm also saying that that those pieces of information that, according to Sammy, the minister gave to the ministry, what was the outcome of that suit in the High Court in Kumasi? That's the first question that I've asked. The state lost that suit. Secondly, the state then filed a process to set aside that judgment. And I want people to, maybe after reading, maybe you can have another conversation. Look at the basis upon which the judgment was set aside. I think that's why I just want to leave it there in the meter, because it's a public record.
I can give
but I think my friend Martin Kpebu definitely can have access to it. Somebody can have access to it. You guys will have access to it. Then we look at it. Otherwise, we'll be giving a whole lot. We are on air, and I just want us to read first before we move on.
I get you. I think that so that we are not moving into a different area, I'm coming back to this because did you speak to the Attorney General about this particular request Sammy is referencing or claiming you made to the Interministerial Committee and the response they gave you? Did you speak to the Attorney General about it?
No. You talked about the 2019 one.
Yes, the 2019 one, ahead of that prosecution or engagement with, ahead of that response to Heritage Imperial suit, the suit we eventually lost, which we actually went back to in clawback. So that's what I'm asking. Did you speak to the Attorney General prior to this conversation about whether or not, because he did mention it last night too, he talked about this, what they call a request, and the fact that you should know about it because you've had this information and the minister responded to you. So if you say you are not sure about it, did you speak to the minister about the existence of that information?
My brother, I've stated, and let me repeat, that if that information is in existence, it will be proper and it is proper. I have not cited it, but I think it's in there because it was in 2019. I did not speak to AG to find out whether they had that information, but I'm not surprised if we had it because the suit had to be defended in court in Kumasi. So it's just something that I'm contesting, that, you can't have that there's no information. Okay. But I said, if that information, which I know definitely information was brought, what was the outcome of that case? That's why I just wanted to look at that. Because it was based on that information that we filed a defense and there was an outcome.
Okay.
And thereafter,
now I get it. Yes.
Judgment. Let me give him that clarification. So please, I want us to leave it there. Let's get these two judgments. Look at them. Then we can have another conversation on it.
Judgments, so we can look at it now. Senior, you see, if you have not cited your letter to Frimpong Boateng and the report from Frimpong Boateng to your ministry, and yet you are speaking on this matter, saying that you have done your investigations and you only require fresh evidence to do another investigation, then you are only vindicating some of us that you did a shoddy job aimed at cover up. Now, I know that, hold on. The reason why we lost the
Honorable Alfred Tuah Yeboah, forgive me, but I want him to conclude on this point, so I'll get back to you because there are a lot more questions that you need to clarify for us. So just be the patience a second.
The reason why we lost the first suit, was because according to the judge, the state could not adduce evidence showing that the company was mining illegally. Now, why the state had that evidence but refused to adduce that evidence in court and refused to call that the appropriate witnesses is something that must be investigated, because you had a journalist who had the video footage of evidence of illegal mining by the company. The alluvial washing bay, the black, that's the concentrated good, and the real good that were seized, video footage of mining pits, not prospecting pits or trenches, the mining pits, and so on and so forth. You didn't call that journalist as a witness. You did not adduce any of these pieces of evidence. Even the gold that was submitted to the Interministerial Committee against illegal mining and a receipt given to the leader of the task force, you did not adduce it. So the judge said you had withheld that evidence, you had not adduced it, so we lost. After we lost, then they went to court on technical grounds. That number one, Heritage Imperial went to court without giving the AG the appropriate notice as required by the State Proceedings Act. And that, apart from not giving the AG the appropriate notice, they did not endorse on the relief they were granted, which was a judgment debt of $15.3 million. That claim or that relief had not been endorsed in the rates. In their rates. So on these technical grounds, they got the High Court to set aside the original decision. But it still doesn't detract from the fact that you requested for the evidence. As far back as 2019, you were giving the evidence. The eyewitnesses who are willing and ready to testify, like Erastus Asaridonko, like the chief of Krobo, like Chum Ampofo Ajekum, a member of this government who led that task force. You have failed to interrogate any of these people. You have failed to use any of these people as witnesses against this company. So on the you don't have any defense. You see, you made we were making a certain observation of air that this statement we are discussing was even written on the personal letterhead of Alfred Yeboah and signed in his name, Alfred Yeboah. So why is lawyer Tuah Yeboah busy this morning defending the indefensible and in the process undermining his own hard-won reputation?
In all fairness,
unfair to him.
Your press conference took on the Attorney General's department and the response they had given.
And that is why the
response was written
from the office.
That response was written first and foremost by Evan Kilson. Not even the Attorney General.
The advice.
The advice, yes.
Yes, but it was an advice given for and on behalf of the Attorney General.
Yes, that's without doubt.
So he bears the responsibility.
So the point here is that if that is being done, then anybody in the Attorney General's Department of Ministry can respond to this matter, and that's why the minister is on.
So his lawyer Tuah's response is independent of his boss's statement.
No, it's not said so. I'm saying that the original concern here is that advice that was given by the very individual within the Attorney General's Department. So there's no dispute about who gets to respond to this matter in any way. Now, I want to bring in lawyer Kpebu, and before that, there's a question directly to this one. Do you have a copy of that letter from the Attorney General to the Professor Frimpong Boateng and the response that was given? Do you have a copy of that?
For some reasons, I will not say yes or no to that question. But what I've done this morning,
have you seen the existence of that letter?
That letter is there, but as to whether I have a copy, I will not answer yes or no. Because what I've done this morning, you see, to put matters to rest, I have this morning submitted 4 requests for information under the Right to Information Act. And I have submitted this request to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, to the Chief Executive Officer Forestry Commission, and to the Executive Director Environmental Protection Agency, and the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
Because the next question I was going to ask you about this is, what's the exact content of the request and the response, so that there is evidence suggests that indeed there was something like that and there was a response in this case.
The 6th May letter from the Attorney General, I've given you 6th May 2019. I've given you the reference number and I've given you the crux of the letter, and that basically was, give us all the information you have on this company and why the equipment was seized by the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining. That was the letter from the AG. The response from the professor, you see, I have it. I can read it to you. But I have officially requested it so that it will come from the official source. So that nobody can turn around one day and say, the letter came from Sammy Gyamfi.
No problem.
It was not official. But if you want me to read a copy of that letter, I will read a copy of that letter.
I'll come back to you on this one. But Mr. Kpebu,
Ray, but let's also not restrict this whole matter to just Donald and Stuart's Heritage Imperial. Because there is a sale of the mining concessions about Albert Kwam. And also the missing excavators angle, all of which conclusive evidence exists.
Now, you mentioned that. Now, let me ask Mr. Kpebu on this one, because it's important that we do not restrict us to only because the point was that there is Donald Tuah, owner of CNJ Alaska, and subsequently Imperial Heritage Limited. He had, throughout these companies, caused extensive damage to the Diaso, Krobo, and Apaprama forest. The IMCI, after dislodging them from the Diaso, sought to dislodge them from the Krobo forest too. That is the part that we've been talking about and we've been spending so much time on. But there's a long list which the Attorney General says there's no evidence to actually deal with. At least from what has been given to them, there was not enough information in the documents available. Mr. Kpebu, are you disputing what the Attorney General is saying about the rest of the names mentioned?
Absolutely, Raymond. To be clear, you said, am I disputing what the Attorney General is saying in the advice?
Yes, about the rest of the names mentioned, that there isn't enough evidence to continue with any prosecution or even start one in the first place.
In fact,
Yes,
in
I'm disputing it, and I've been disputing it from last week. I think this is my third interview on this matter. Raymond, it beggars belief. It beggars belief that we are being treated in this shabby manner.
Yes, but
Look
I want
at
you
the
to
raft of
address it this way.
evidence.
Forgive me. I want you to just tell me the
Address.
specific individuals you think the Attorney General, in saying they were not in any way evidence against them, should rather have evidence against them, and the evidence you think is available that can be used against them. There's a list. If you want, we can go through it. But you tell me which other individuals specifically.
Okay, let's start with Donald Tuah. Donald Tuah.
Oh yeah, that's still connected to CNG and Alaska.
Heritage Imperial.
Yes.
Now, and then you see Reynolds Kwan. Now, these persons own Heritage Imperial and they are directors. And Erasmus, as I don't call what you call documentary, shows that land the size of at least 10 football fields, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 football fields was destroyed. And you see, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Maybe Raymond, this today you should replay the documentaries on Joy News and all your other networks. You see it. The picture is worth 1,000 words.
Except
So
that, forgive me,
picture,
this matter to do with Donald Tuah is just what we've been discussing. I was asking, beyond the issue of Donald Tuah and Heritage Imperial, all the others that the Attorney General says, the rest of the people on the list, excluding the 2 that are actually being investigated, that the Attorney General says no evidence was submitted for their prosecution.
Yeah.
I'm asking whether you disagree, and specifically which ones do you think the Attorney General got it wrong?
Okay, so now let's go. So you think we should leave at this. So another person I can remember on the list. So Gabi is listed. Is that correct?
Yes,
Now,
it says here he called Prof. Frimpong Boateng on phone to inform him that he was a lawyer for Heritage Imperial Limited when the IMCM was ready to dislodge the company from the Kpebu forest.
Excellent. So now, Frimpong Boateng complained that the Gabi's call, okay, was an interference with his work, right? So my question is, what did Gabi come out to say? He said he called to justify, to inform Frimpong Boateng that Imperial Heritage had all the mining leases. So what I'm expecting is that now, in the opinion, did they show us that they talked to Gabi and Gabi has supplied all the mining leases? Has Gabi given them all the mining leases? Because the interview, I can remember it clearly. Gabi called, he doesn't deny it, but he called to say they have all the documents. So where in the opinion was this shown, and why didn't they exhibit it? That Gabi has furnished them with the raft of mining permits and everything under the book that Imperial had. So in the absence of such evidence, that's a poor job. That is a poor job.
You are a very good lawyer.
Kpebu, my good friend Kpebu, you know, we love him so much. It's unfortunate it's now in the line of fire. Yes. So
yes, I'll come to Kpebu, but you are a very good lawyer. So what kind of charge could have been preferred against Gabi based on this?
So deceit of public officer. Deceit of public officer. Public officer engaged in trying to hold people to account. Then you call him and tell him that, they have every permit under the sun. Every permit. And then it turns out that, as I said, for me, until they bring the evidence, it means that he doesn't have it. Because that's the easiest thing to do.
Okay.
If I'm asked, Raymond, and one last comment before you move on. The point about investigation, Raymond, you are also becoming a lawyer very soon. Lawyers are investigators. What we do in court, the questions and answers, that's investigation. So we are, but ours is judicial. Okay, we do it in the courtroom. So there are different types of investigation. So when we ask questions in cross-examination and unravel cases and all that, that's investigation. So the work Sammy Gyamfi is doing, it's also investigation. We do it, the police and everything. That's why commissions of inquiry, you see that it's a superior court judge that they put as chairman and all those things. Okay, so that is our work. We do it together with the police. They do theirs differently, but all of them, they are different types of investigation.
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
maybe
if I
I'll
can
come back
supply
to you, but
some.
yes,
Yeah.
you want to,
Because it's
I
important
want to bring in the
to
Deputy
broaden
Attorney
the
General.
scope.
Yes,
No,
I
no,
want
just
to.
in 1 minute.
Okay, just briefly. Yeah.
Aside the issue of Donald Ntuah's heritage imperial, is the case against Mr. Albert Joseph Kwam, former member of parliament for Mansour Dubia, and a member of the Minerals Commission, who, according to Professor Frimpong Boateng, used his position as a member of the Minerals Commission to acquire mining concessions, which he sold to various MPP functionaries at a cost of 200,000 Ghana cedis. This allegation is contained in the 36 speech Frimpong Boateng Galamsey report.
It's not the man who has
now we are saying it's not for the
because I want to put it in context. He has sued Professor Frimpong Boateng.
The fact that I don't know know
okay,
about
well,
that.
yeah, because there was.
But hold on, and I'm saying that there is corroborative evidence that vindicates this assertion by Professor Frimpong Boateng. And this corroborative evidence,
which the police could not find.
No, it is in their custody. So the right thing to say is that which the police turned a blind eye deliberately,
did not submit to their
gloss over.
Office.
Yes, because there is a gentleman called Kwamina Century, a staunch and leading member of the New Patriotic Party in Ashanti region. He's the immediate past vice chairman for the MPP in Ashanti region, Wuntumi's vice, and he was appointed by President Akufo-Addo as the Ashanti regional NADMO boss. He has granted an interview to Kumasi-based Sompa FM. And in this interview, he confirmed everything Frimpong Boateng said about Mr. Albert Kwam. He says that he was sitting somewhere when Albert Kwam came to him, offering him Galamsey concessions. And that all he needed to do was to provide him with his company certificates. Senche says that he provided him with the necessary company registration documents. And a few months after, he was called by the Minerals Commission and given ownership documents pertaining to a Galamsey concession.
So this is
he says
Century.
No, and hold on. And Senche, a member of this government.
Yeah.
And Senche says that later on the concession was sold to a gentleman called Ejewusu without his consent by the same Albert Kwam. He says he reported the matter to the police. This is the crux of the matter. He reported the matter to the police. In the interview, he mentioned the name of the regional commander who received the complaint, the regional crime officer who was designated to investigate the matter. So the matter was reported to the police. He also filed a petition to the office of the special prosecutor on this matter. So the special prosecutor has the record of this matter. He again sent a petition to national security. Basically what he was saying was that my name and my documents has been using for the allocation of a mining concession, yet the concession has been sold to another person and the person is willing to testify. In fact, he says in one of his meetings with Albert Kwam in front of Ratri Park, Kumasi, he recorded the said conversation, and he has evidence to the fact that Albert Kwam sold his Galamsey concession. Now, this person has reported the matter to the police.
Yes.
He's ever willing and ready to testify.
I need to bring in the.
So how then can you say that the police who took his complaint did not see the need to invite Kwamina Senche as a witness to testify to the issues concerning Albert Kwam?
But if the AG's office is not aware of this testimony or whichever reports that the gentleman did in Kumasi, how can they then be advising on a matter like that if it's not in the police report?
Exactly. So that is why they had no business wasting the state's A4 sheets uttering that legal advice, because clearly no credible investigation had been done. And so you don't write a legal opinion, you just refer the matter back to the police for further and proper investigations.
Deputy Attorney General, they have referenced two separate incidents here, and references
more.
And the conversation here is that the police could have done a lot more than they did. But in your letter, you didn't give the impression that the police was supposed to go and work on these other matters. You made it look like the case was done and dusted, and that the one you're waiting for was related to the very two gentlemen who the police actually said three that they are still working on. And let's not get it wrong.
Since 2019.
Yes, it's been 2019 when they were reported. You remember we said we had 500 excavators missing some time ago. Response?
Now, the first point that Martin Kpebu made about Gabi Ochudakun is called to the minister. I don't know whether or which law in Ghana says that a practicing lawyer who's representing his client has no right to get in touch with the other side when his client is under some form of has a problem. He's talking about the seat of public officer. Perhaps I don't know the evidence that he has, but on the record, a statement was taken from him. In fact, all those people who were named, statements were taken from them. So, if Martin is of opinion that he has any evidence that the mere fact of a lawyer calling a minister to inform him that these people are my clients, and based on that conversation, the lawyer should be charged from the public officer. Perhaps we should provide that evidence, and then we will take it up. Then, when it comes to the former MP, I'm happy you asked me, how can the Attorney General know that someone has got an interview to a media station somewhere, whether in Kumasi, Sunyane, Kamale? How can the Attorney General know? It is the duty of the investigators. Unless, of course, someone is suggesting or someone is suggesting that recording is so paramount that it is something that everybody should know. And that one, I don't think it makes such a conclusion. So
you are trying to make is that this was reported to the police, and the presumption is that the police would have added this to their work and come to some conclusion on it and giving you a brief on it. Since you say it could be a redacted version that's submitted to the public, that's the advice on this one. Was it known to you, this century matter? Because we did not know. We can clearly distance ourselves from the claims that are being made in there, but we did not have any preview of this. You in the Attorney General Department, did the police give you any indication in perhaps a broader document they gave you?
No. The police took a statement from the former MP. In his statement, he denied. And he even said if anyone who had the evidence that he was into that, he was ready to submit himself to that. And that's the basis upon which the police also perhaps went to Prof. Frimpong Boateng and say, oh, fine, the gentleman is saying no. Maybe you can give us a lead. Maybe, but what I mean, say for example, is that the existence of that tape.
How many people will have it?
If that tape is in existence, then that tape, if the police they don't have it, nothing will stop them now from getting that tape. Because we need to get to the bottom of this particular matter. But the Attorney General sitting in Accra, or myself, or my other colleagues, we didn't know that someone has spoken on the radio. Sammy has it. This fight, I've kept saying it. We are all in it together. We are all, either we win or we perish together.
So if it's established that the police kept vital information from you, what will you do?
If the police, we will tell them to open it. Because if there's that evidence that someone has volunteered on air to say, yes, this man did it, this man did that, this man did that. Why? The police just add it to the docket so they can also review it. Because the gentleman in statement denied categorically. I didn't tell you that anyone with that evidence that should come up.
Ray, please tell lawyer Tuah Yeboah to check his WhatsApp.
I'm wrapping up.
I have sent him the tape. Now, I sent him the tape, so he and his boss can examine it. Check your WhatsApp inbox now.
I think what people are asking from the Attorney General's office today is whether you will be impartial and committed to dealing with the matters, regardless of the fact that some of the people mentioned are very key members of government, and the commitment you actually pursue, with which you pursue other matters, you do same with this one. And you're not going to leave it at just we have spoken to the main people who were accused, and that you go beyond that to do further investigation or ask the police to do so. Is that a commitment you can get from the Attorney General's Department?
I'm giving that commitment 100% on behalf of the Attorney General, that we are committed to get to the bottom of this matter. Whatever evidence that we get, we'll follow it. Now, somebody has sent me that recording. Definitely, I'll let the police have it.
Okay.
Because this fight, it is not about Party A or Party B. It's about the people of Ghana.
Unfortunately,
if our water bodies are polluted, some of you are from the same region. We drink from the Tano River. I'll be affected. Even if I'm living in Accra, my family will be affected, or the people there will be affected. The forest reserve that we have, if people are going in just anyhow, just to mess it up, we all need to fight it. So I only plead with the public that if you have any piece of evidence or
Erastus is ready to testify. Lawyer Tuah Yeboah, invite him
and the
today.
videos are there.
Erastus Asaredongo is ready to testify.
Forgive me, but we can't re-argue these matters. I think that we have.
Or is multimedia not ready to assess the states?
We have run out of time on this conversation. It's not something we are going to leave at this point, because I think now that we are getting to the specifics, I think now that we are getting into the specifics, we'll be taking them one by one and be interrogating all the matters, including the ones that reported to the police 4 years ago, including 500 missing excavators, which we are still unsure how we've gotten to dealing with it. So certainly,
can you assure
I need to take this break.
Multimedia's commitment to this investigation?
I'm sure multimedia is committed.